Good morning everyone, and a very warm welcome to London and to Lancaster House. I'm delighted to welcome you here and thank you very much for coming. This is not just the largest gathering of countries and organisations that has ever come together to discuss Somalia. I also believe it is the most influential. We have leading figures from governments in every continent of the world. We have leading organisations from the African Union and the European Union to the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation and, of course, the United Nations. But most importantly of all, we have Somali delegations representing almost every region of Somalia that is not under terrorist control.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. President Sheikh Sharif Sheikh Ahmed, President of Somalia, distinguished heads of state and government, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Prime Minister Cameron, for bringing us here at this critical moment and your leadership. We have opened a space for peace and stability in Somalia. It is a small space, but it presents an opportunity we cannot afford to miss. An opportunity to help people of Somalia and end the threat and instability that breed there. An opportunity to realize the vision of a productive and peaceful Somalia.
And also I'd like to express our appreciation and thanks to His Excellency David Cameron, Prime Minister of Great Britain, and all the leaders who have come here and who are represented in those delegations at this conference. As I would like to thank His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the United Nations, as well as the Secretary General of the African Union and the Secretaries General of international and regional organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests, it gives me great pleasure on this occasion, i.e. the convening of this conference in London on Somalia. We would like to express our deep appreciation and thanks to the United Kingdom, its people, for hosting this conference, which is being held in the British capital, and the aim is to find a permanent and comprehensive solution to this tenacious problem of Somalia. Finally, we would like to reiterate our thanks and appreciation to the government of Great Britain and David Cameron, the Prime Minister of Great Britain. We would like to thank Great Britain for all those efforts exerted in order to ensure complete success of this conference. We salute Her Majesty the Queen and the British people, and we would like to express our thanks and gratitude to all the delegates who are represented here, be they delegations or organizations, and we hope that we're going to have every success, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, and thanks to you and Foreign Secretary Haig for arranging this very timely meeting, because we are meeting at a critical halfway point. 6 months ago, the transitional federal government and regional authorities signed the roadmap to end the transition, to turn the page on this chapter in Somalia's history and begin a more stable and unified era. 6 months from now, the TFG's mandate will expire, and in that time, it must accomplish a number of difficult and important tasks. So all who are invested in Somalia's future are now called to help keep events moving swiftly in the right direction. In particular, I think we must focus on two dimensions: accelerating political progress and continuing to improve security. Regarding the political situation, the TFG pledged in December to carry out specific next steps, including convening an assembly to approve a constitution, forming a new parliament, and electing a president and speaker. Now that it has agreed to these tasks, we must help them accomplish those. The transitional federal government was always meant to be just that, transitional, and it is past time for that transition to occur and for Somalia to have a stable government. The outcome of last week's meeting of Somali leaders in Garowe is an encouraging signal that more progress will be forthcoming soon. And I am pleased to see representatives from so many Somali political groups here today in a sign of their dedication to this effort. But time is of the essence, and I want to be clear. The international community will not support an extension of the TFG's mandate beyond the date set in the roadmap, August 20th. Now, yes, the goals we expect to achieve under this timeline are ambitious, but the people of Somalia have waited many years. For decades, the world focused on what we could prevent from happening in Somalia: conflict, famine, terrorism. Now we are focused on what we can build. I think the opportunity is real, and now we have to work with the TFG as it transitions out of power to build a durable peace for the Somalia people and to support a government that delivers services and offers democracy and prosperity, uniting Somalia after so many years of division and chaos. Thank you.
We appreciate the efforts and commitment of our British friends on Somalia. Turkey considers the London Conference as a timely and useful meeting to draw the attention of the international community to Somalia. The international community must use this historic opportunity to help Somalia. The stability and security of Somalia is crucial for the stability of its region as well as the whole continent, since the country is located in the strategic heart of the Horn of Africa and on the international trade route vital for Africa and the world. Without national reconciliation, we cannot have a real political achievement, as well as we cannot have a real humanitarian development when there are de facto authorities in different parts of Somalia. Therefore, all the groups of Somalia should be integrated, should be working together hand in hand. In short, there are all these three pillars: humanitarian assistance, development and reconstruction, improving security and establishing public order, and a political process leading an inclusive democratic government. There is a need of international support, and London Conference is an important step to give this support to all these main prerequisites for real progress. And in June in Istanbul, we will follow up the decisions of London Conference, as well as with all the participants we will plan for post-August period. And we want to welcome all of you to Istanbul. We hope that time we will be having a much more positive agenda and positive developments in Somalia. Thank you very much.
Secretary General of the United Nations, heads of state and government, ministers. First of all, on behalf of the French government, I wish to thank the British Prime Minister David Cameron for having organised this conference at a critical time for Somalia. And I would also like to thank him for his personal commitment to peace and security in this country. Why this meeting today? Because the inhabitants of Somalia who have endured war for 20 years, who've endured famine and suffering, have the right to live in a country in peace where they do not lack food. Because the state of Somalia and its situation affects the whole of the Horn of Africa, because the security of the high seas is threatened every day a little more by piracy, which is preventing development in Somalia, because we ourselves are directly victims of Al-Shabaab, with the hostage-taking in order to try and impose their law on the region. We do not forget our compatriot, Madame de Dieu, who was kidnapped in Kenya and who died. And we do not forget the hostages who are held in Somalia and other parts of Africa. So this is a new step in the process of reconstruction of Somalia, which began with the Somalians in recent years, with the creation of the Federal Transitional Government, charged with setting up a new state in Somalia and to ensure sustainable peace and reconciliation. We support unreservedly the conclusions of the conference. We call on all those involved to be determined and resolute in implementing the guidelines that have been set. And I believe that today we can say that hope rises again in Somalia. Thank you very much.
The Somali crisis is first and foremost a political crisis, and it can only be resolved by political means, through the reconstitution and renewal of the Somali state. We now have a credible and adequate roadmap charted by the Somalis themselves, which can lead to such a political solution. Yesterday, TFG and Ethiopian troops defeated Al-Shabaab based in the Bay and Bokor region and liberated Baidoa, a major source of manpower and finance for them. Perhaps more importantly, Somalis all along the line of march of our troops came in droves to inform our troops where Al-Shabaab IEDs were planted, where Al-Shabaab was preparing an ambush, and finally, the residents of Baidoa braved the risk of Al-Shabaab retaliation to come out in their thousands and tens of thousands to welcome their liberators. This is one more proof, if proof is needed, that the Somali people have had enough of the terrorists and are prepared to do whatever it takes to defeat them. This is a clear indication of the rapidly improving capability of the TFG forces to fight and defeat Al-Shabaab.
I salute the Right Honourable Cameron for organizing this conference on Somalia and those who have made it, who have made time to be here today. Sometimes African regional efforts result in providing solutions. Example, the defeat of Idi Amin in 1979 in Uganda, the ending of genocide in Rwanda in 1994, the defeat of Mobutu in the DRC in the 1990s. In the decolonization of Southern Africa, Africa worked with the Soviet Union and China, as well as with liberals and leftists in the West. On the issue of Burundi, it was the internal stakeholders within the country, the regional effort, and the United Nations. It was the same packaging with respect to the problem of Sudan. I would like also to salute the financial and material contribution already made to AMISOM by our partners from outside the continent in the ongoing efforts in Somalia.
Right Honourable Prime Minister David Cameron, Excellencies, heads of state and government, ladies and gentlemen, I thank the Honourable Prime Minister and Her Majesty's government for convening this conference on Somalia, which I strongly support. The meeting convenes at a defining moment in the history of Somalia. Excellencies, 2 weeks ago, Al-Shabaab confirmed that we have what we have always known in the region, that they are part and parcel of the Al-Qaeda international terrorist network. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a wake-up call to the international community. We have recently apprehended a number of foreign fighters within the Al-Shabaab ranks. Clearly, a new and more dangerous theater for terrorist action has emerged in Somalia. I thank you.
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, Mr. David Cameron, British Prime Minister, Excellency Mr. Sharif Ahmed, peace be upon you and his blessings. It gives me a great pleasure to be amongst you today in this meeting, and it pleases me to greet the distinguished gathering in the name of the State of Qatar. The international community and the Arab world have ignored Somalia for a long time, something which led to the worsening of the situation as we see it today. Continuing to ignore the situation in Somalia will further aggravate it. We thank the United Kingdom and for the idea of holding this meeting in order to reach settlements, putting an end to the problem of the Somali people, for their outstanding efforts to render the proceedings of this conference a success.